Welcome, dirty peasants, to episode 27 of the Wartwood Gazette podcast. This week we'll be covering Amphibia Season 3, Episode 3, Feud and Adventures in Catsitting. I'm your host, Thembaticon, and joining me today we have King of the Uzbeks.
Yes, that's
Lemur.
Hello.
Pixels.
Hello.
And Nick.
What's up, guys?
All right, thanks guys for coming on. Last week we had I forgot the name of the YouTube channel. They did an autograph signing / Cartoon Universe Q&A panel. They took some questions from the chat. They also just talked about the show in general and also I guess behind the scenes stuff. We'll probably cover that near the end of the show. Was there any other news articles or any other news that we got this week?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just the whole interview last week.
Yeah,
I wasn't there,
I think outside of the virtual signing event with the Q&A, not much when it comes to Amphibia news this week.
Okay. So I think we can go into the first segment of episode 3, Feud. So I'm just going to open the credits. So Feud was directed by Jen Strickland, written by Michelle Cavan, and storyboards by Silver Paul and Alexis Swanson. So the episode starts off at the planner kitchen. Mrs. Boonchoi is serving breakfast to the planners and Anne. Polly and Hop Hop are very grateful. Sprig kind of just my notes have him as being a bum, but he kind of just
It's not an
kind of just he just kind of just waltzes into the place, kind of makes a mess, eats from the pan, and just in general not being very
respectful.
Not a very good guest.
Yeah, I felt embarrassed for him because it's just
I felt embarrassed watching that.
Like, you have Polly who's like half his age, acting respectful, saying thank you for the food, and then you have Sprig waltzing in like an idiot.
Yeah, like Hop Up has like napkin too. And so basically, like Mrs. Boonchoi is not happy about Sprig's behavior, but she doesn't say anything. She just gives Anne that like the typical look.
Yeah, the look.
And then basically when she goes off screen, like Anne, Hop Up, and Polly pretty much like give Sprig that talk about needing to like act appropriately. And then Sprig mentions that he thought he could be like kind of comfortable, like more like he could just like act the way he did because they're all family. But then Hop Hop brings up like just because Anne is a planter, that doesn't mean Sprig's a Boonchoi. And Sprig kind of realizes like the error of his ways and just kind of mentions how he wanted a bigger family. He still doesn't have like an idea of the dynamic yet, or the dynamic between the planners and the Boonchois hasn't reached what he expected. But the planners and Anne are are reasonable about it. So then Anne's about to go help Mrs. Boonchoi at the restaurant, and then Sprig asks to tag along and kind of make up for his mistake this morning. So then they leave. They tell Hop Hop and Polly to research getting back home, but they're just watching movies instead. So we get to the restaurant. Sprig is in the kitchen with Anne and Mrs. Boonchoi. Mrs. Boonchoi tells him just to kind of just sit off to the side and drink some tea. And Sprig's not happy being a guest. He wants to be like a member of the family. And then we hear Ned, pretty much the Boonchoi's restaurant super fan. He walks in. He brings up how he got a food truck during the time that Anne was away and has it parked outside, and he wants to have a partnership with the Boon Choys to I guess sell food on the go in a food truck. But Mrs. Boon Choi doesn't want to give up the family recipes to him. So he decides just to stay parked outside and wait until she changes her mind. So Mrs. Boon Choi brings up how, like, because the food truck's out there, it's kind of confusing customers, as we saw with that one guy. Pretty much has like a mental
Yes.
breakdown.
He cried.
Yeah, his
Which
mind
was
broke.
which?
So then Sprig
love stuff
gets
like
the
that.
Sprig gets the idea of taking care of the problem, but
Man.
and kind of catches on to this quickly and just tells him not, like, don't try anything. But this being Sprig, he
Isn't anyway.
he tries to fool the customers for Ned's food truck by like claiming that his food turned him pink, but that only encourages that one guy. Much to Sprig's dismay, he starts calling them idiots, and then we see Anne cleaning up, and she's like looking out the window. You can just see Sprig like calling the mob a bunch of idiots. So then her and
everyone
Mrs. Boonchoy
idiots.
have to like drag him back inside, and then Mrs. Boonchoy is about to lose her patience with Sprig, but then since he's a guest, she just defaults to yelling at Anne instead. Sprig is once again kind of let down by this,
Mhm.
since he wants to experience, I guess, the family scorn. So then that only emboldens him to go bigger with his scheme. And even before that, Anne's like telling him again, like, I get it. Like, she gets his motive, but just tells him like to cut it out, but he doesn't. So then it cuts to the evening. Sprig is like sneaking his way into the truck, writes a note pretending to be Mrs. Boonchoy, telling Ned that she'll give the recipes to him. So while he's distracted, he breaks in, and I don't know what he was going to do. He was just somehow going to trash the car because he wanted to ruin this guy's livelihood. That's what he literally says in the episode.
Time
then
to ruin a rough
Anne-
man's livelihood.
Yeah, and then Anne, when she's throwing out the trash, she sees Sprig in the truck, and then she interferes. And then they get in a quick fight before they accidentally hit the gear shift into drive, and then the food truck just rolls off. Ned and Mrs. Boonchoy have a quick like scene about confusion, and then Mrs. Boonchoy realizes that like it was Sprig who's plotting this, and then by the time they get out, the truck's already like got away. We get this quick like, I don't want to say it's a chase because it's basically them. It's not like them
Yeah.
like losing control of the truck. A bunch of gags like through the road, like the turtle, and then like we think they're about to hit that ramp, but then they just like smash through it. And so they end up like a skateboard park, and then eventually, like after doing like a when they after like they do that like sliding trick down the rail, they eventually like crash, and then we get the I guess the resolution of the episode where Sprig takes responsibility for the incident, and he just wanted to be like a member of the family, and then Mrs. Boonchoy like eventually like comforts him and just like she just kind of realized that she shouldn't have treated Sprig as much of an outsider, since she knows like how much like Sprig and Anne mean to each other. And at the same time, we have like Ned realizing that like he was kind of doing the same thing as Sprig in terms of being like forcing himself into a dynamic, and then he eventually like gives up asking the planners for their Thai recipes. But then Mrs. Boonchoy offers him like a part-time job, I guess, like doing deliveries, and he's happy about that. So the episode pretty much ends with like Sprig thinking that like everything's over until Mrs. Boonchoy starts like scolding him, and then he's actually happy about that because that means he's part of the family now. And then
What a crazy episode.
the episode pretty much ends with like Mrs. Boonchoi regretting what she just like regretting letting him into the family, I guess. and that was Thai feud.
Oh my
So
god.
so I guess like my thoughts. This was an okay episode. This was a fun episode. This is pretty much our mandatory Sprig trying to fit in somewhere and then going absolute bonkers trying to complete the mission. And I guess the reasoning for Sprig, I think, here is a lot more acceptable for me. Like instead of like cracking Mrs. Croker, where he just wanted like Mrs. Croker to like him for no reason, and then even like
Yeah.
Caravan of Desire, he was trying to get that random theater kid to like him. At least in this episode, like the reasoning of Sprig just wanting Mrs. Boonchoi to like wanting to be like the son that she never had, basically. Like I can see where the desperation comes from, especially what we've seen in the past about Sprig. Sprig's
after the
thoughts on
rain.
family.
And
Yeah.
after the rain.
After the rain,
stakeout.
hopping mall, stakeout.
It really,
Yeah.
yeah.
You went through a lot.
Yeah, because when you really think about it, it really does nicely recontextualize a lot of those episodes. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I think it does make me want to like look more fondly upon cracking Mrs. Croker, because now you really just understand where this comes from, right? Like that lack of affection that Sprig had in his life, like he's trying to overcompensate for it.
Yeah, and I like how in this episode, Anne kind of was not. You could kind of see like Anne had to like struggle between like looking after Sprig and just doing her own thing as well.
Yeah,
So
like
it's kind of understandable that she wasn't as like she wasn't as she was patient with Sprig, but like eventually she had like a limit, and then it was just Sprig who kept Sprig who didn't like stop
yeah.
his scheme.
Yeah, I'm just really glad they only kept it to two different two different moments where you try to screw Ned out and screw Ned over, because I feel like it's harder to like really sympathize with Sprig if there's a montage of them trying, right? If there's a montage of them being devious, even so they're funny and they're like, yeah, they're good scenes, but like I feel like they usually make it harder to sympathize with Sprig. So that's why I'm just glad they only kept it at two different scenes where he try to mess with Ned. So yeah.
Yeah. I guess Lemur, what were your thoughts on this segment?
Well, to start off, unlike some of the episodes you guys mentioned, like Cracking Mrs. Croker, Caravan of Desire, this episode has a lot of similarities to that. Cracking Mrs. Croker, especially with the whole Sprig wanting attention, other thing, and that's basically like his biggest flaw, because we've discussed a lot about Sprig's character in the past, and how he's not, and we come to the conclusion that Sprig never really changed a lot in this series for the most part. But it's not a bad thing, because despite being stagnant and not really having a lot of changes, he never really has to change, because what he is now is kind of perfect for him. Yeah, he's a kid, but he's a kid that does a lot of good stuff for the most part. He became good friends with Anne. He has a girlfriend, and he is now living a life of adventures. He really doesn't have to change. But we all also agree that his biggest flaw is his want for attention. And in the past, it did grind on the audience's gears about that. This trait really made Sprig annoying for some viewers. But the revelation in Hopping Mall, where we learn about Sprig's parents' fate, along with After the Rain, it does make it does made that trait of it, this flaw of his, more understandable, and yeah, it contextualizes a lot, which I think, and I think that really plays into this episode's favor because, yeah, like again, we've seen from this episode that Mrs. Boonchoy is like the closest thing that Sprig has to having a mom, because yeah, he may have that before, but he never really remembered his mom. Mrs. Boonchoy is like, yeah, Mrs. Boonchoy is the closest he has ever gotten that he can remember to having a mom. So having so him being a desperate he him showing his desperate side to get May's attention is very understandable, and I like that. And and that's the emotional crutch of this episode, because yeah, I mean, still, yeah, he is annoying, but like, and even yeah, he gets annoying, but like even then, the characters in the story, like Anne and Mrs. Choi, they acknowledge that what he is doing is annoying, and like, to me, that's also the reason why I don't find him as obnoxious as other episodes like this. Like, once again, cracking Mrs. Kruger, because Sprig does get his comeuppance by the end of the episode with Mrs. Boonchoy scolding Sprig, and like, and it's and I know we're advancing a little bit ahead, but like I really like that in Adventures of Catsitting, it does seem like Sprig did learn his lesson by by his actions in that episode. Yeah. All I
Alright.
can say is that. Sorry, were you gonna
Oh,
ask?
and sorry. Go on.
No. Well, what I was saying is that I really like the story, the crutch of the story, like the emotional, the core of the story, which is Sprig's desperate need to have that affection from a maternal figure. Because again, it's not only consistent on his character now, but it's also a test on his character as well. And outside of that, I mean, the jokes here is great. Like, what we thought was a car chase in the trailer is actually a desperate need to control.
I love how he tricked us. He
Yeah,
tricked us.
control
I
of
thought it
a
was the
Tricked us.
FBI. I thought it was the
Yeah.
FBI hunting
We
them
all
down.
kind of thought it was
Yeah.
the FBI.
Yeah, but it basically it's just trying to control a move vehicle, like, and then the ramp. We thought that they're gonna jump off a ramp, but they crash instead. Like, there's a lot of expectations that has been subverted in this episode, and I like that a lot. Overall, while I think that this episode does have its flaws, it's still a very solid episode, and I think this episode does a lot more than most people give it credit for.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Pixels, what were your thoughts on the episode?
It was a really fun episode to watch. It gave me like a Big City Green vibes. It did. Yes, Sprig did not commit an arson. He did Grand Theft Auto. It was still fun. I love that scene.
Compromise.
Yes, I love that scene where there's that ramp. It looked like the truck was gonna go hit the ramp, but it didn't. It like went through the ramp. So that was a pretty funny thing to do. Um, shout out to on on Browley because she
On
she
Broly.
nailed those. Is that on or un?
Turning on.
Oh, I said on Brawley. She did a really good job with the lines. Yeah, like she sold it pretty well. Um, yeah, Sprig was He was trying to do his best, but we have to also remember about we had to learn about we have to learn about what happened to him with his mom and stuff, and what like all that stuff. He wants that. Yes, Pop's there, but I feel like he wanted that real parental figure in his life, and May was probably the closest thing to that. But that's just me. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Pixels.
Mhm.
Uzbeks, what were your thoughts on the segment?
I liked it. I agree, Sprig. What happened there was very in character. This desire to be included, this desire to be a family. Although I do hope at some point he acknowledges that Hop Pop did a good job raising him. Like I said, he was a little annoying. I that's fine so long as we don't see this be a reoccurring issue for Sprig in the future, especially with regard to the Boonchoy parents. I found Ned annoying, and I get that was the point of his character and that other characters were annoyed with him, but it was a little much at times.
So, like, when Polly just straight up told him that he's not part of the family.
I'm not sure why you just brought that up, but
He did just say, "Yo, no, not like that."
I mean, like I said, it was in character for Sprig. I liked Miss Boonchoy in this. I hope we get some more scenes like the scene where she was rocking out in New Normal. Just, so she's not always such a stick in the mud.
I would like to. Sorry, I
It
would
was
like to
she was
point
being
out.
unfair to Anne this episode, and they never really acknowledged that. Like Anne's doing her best, but like she's not the one doing stuff wrong. You gotta address the problem, even if it's a guest. I like the chase scene. It was a little obvious CGI on the truck. Lemur, I'm sort of echoing through you. I enjoyed the scene at the end where they, it's cute and get along. I think it paired well with Catsitting, which we can talk about later. And yeah, I liked it. I really liked the music. It had a nice little Thai flavor to it if you listen.
Yeah, especially during the chase, I think.
Yes, it had a nice little Thai flavor to it, which I thought was very good on the part of, I guess, TJ Hill. It's always solid. Yeah, so like I said, I enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. So long as it stays sort of the only one where it's another Sprig gets into trouble. And there's a lot of Sprig episodes in this season 3A, so I'm hoping we get some good development and not just some repetitive stories.
Yeah, I hope it's more variety.
Yep.
I feel like
we're getting a
getting
Spider-Man
into-
parody, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
There's a Spider-Man.
Yes.
There's a Spider-Man parody and Sprig's birthday, which would probably be a very important episode for his character.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider Spray, of course. Spider Spray.
Okay.
Even more than Sprig's birthday.
Okay, sure.
I'm sorry,
All
but
right,
I'm just
Peter
looking forward to that
Parker, man.
episode.
I know, it's fine.
It's just, I never would have thought they'd make an episode where they spoof Spider-Man.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
I'm
Not
Not
there
there
yet,
yet.
Watch it like
Maybe,
barely be even in the episode, like it's barely even a spoof.
Oh God.
It's all about all about like the origin story.
Oh God. Oh God.
Also, I would like to point out something that I think might be a little interesting about Mrs. Boonchay's character. We've seen her be strict for like every other character, like Anne and Sprig and the Planters, but like so far the only person that she's like a little more loose to is Mr. Boonchoy, which again makes sense. But like, yeah, I know they're husband and wife, but like, I don't know, it's. I feel like she would have been a little more. I feel like she would she would showcase a little more of that strictness with Miss Rabuchoi, but I was I am pleasantly surprised that like she's not. She hasn't. She's a little more casual with him, which again, it's adorable. Okay, that sounds a little bit hypocritical if I could speak, but yeah, I think it's pretty cute. But then I guess I'm just a little. I guess I'm just used to cartoon moms being nagging most of the time. You know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you
and
mean.
being and being condescending towards the husbands. It's nice to see a husband and wife on the cartoon that actually, are chill with one another for the most part.
Yeah, because it's usually like the really dumb, goofy dad, and then the super strict mom, right?
Mom,
like,
yeah.
like I'm liking the fact that it's giving them like actual character hair. Like they aren't just like stereotypes or anything.
And I like that they're different people. Like a lot of times, parents, when they're not a focus character early on, you've just like got two generic mom and dad characters who are basically one character together. But here, they're separate. Like I said, and Matt mentioned this in some of the preseason interviews. Like I said, it was unfair of her to treat Anne that way this episode, and she's clearly still very tense about this whole situation. Like calling Sprig Pink Frog, even though she knows his name at the end. Like clearly, she's still working through some stuff, and I hope that they address that maybe in Temple Frogs. But yeah, I liked it. She's a nice introduction and fits with what Anne has talked about before.
Also, it's nice to see each of the Bunchoi parents get their own spotlight in this pairing.
Yeah, these two episodes, they did like a really solid job at establishing their characters at their point. At
like their
point,
personalities.
Their personalities and the relationship with the planters and Anne. Like I think from what we can see, like Mrs. Bunchoi, like I think she's tolerating the planters really just for Anne. I think that's why, like, anytime one of them screws up, she immediately turns to Anne and tries to throw all the responsibility onto her, even so Anne has nothing to do with it. Like, I'm not gonna say that Mrs. Bunchoi, like, or I'm still saying Mrs. Bunchoi, May or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna say like she dislikes them, but like, I think in a way, she really does want all of this to be over. Like, the planters still being here, they represent the fact that Anne was gone for 5 months. Like, they're a constant reminder to that. So I can't 100% blame her for like, I can't blame her for being mad at this episode. Like, Sprig literally waltzed into the kitchen, jumped in her fridge, drank hot sauce. He was rude. Like, Sprig was rude, but like, I think it just sort of highlights that like, she's still getting through things with them.
She was pretty friendly with Polly and Hop Hop though, because they were like behaving and stuff.
Yeah, it's just
guests, and respecting your guests is important, as we learn in the second episode, or at least in Hop Pop's view.
Yeah, I guess I feel like with May, like she only snaps if someone just steps out of line, just even by love. I think it's just the fact that like they're being cordial that made it easier for her to interact with them, right? Like they're just like I feel like there's definitely still this sort of barrier or boundary between her and the planters that I guess Sprig has sort of worked through somewhat right now, but he's definitely still not there. Even so, he wants to call himself a Bunchoi. Like I'm not seeing it yet. Like he has to still wait.
Yeah, I appreciate that these two, this pairing is like the first step of making the Bunchois and planters be like a full family, which I think would be like the end game when it comes to the relationships between, and by the end of the season.
Yeah, these were just two really solid episodes. I feel like everything they set out to do here, they did a great job dealing with. Like,
yeah, they've definitely, I think, found their stride with the Earth episodes.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, these two, like, they just felt like I watched like two highly quality episodes back to back.
I feel like this is like final thoughts in like the middle.
Final thoughts. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait, you never asked me for my thoughts. Hold on. So just like, I just
we're still talking about like Miss
Thai Feud.
Thai Feud, and like more specifically May
Yeah.
in her role in the episode. Also, yeah. Shout out to Mrs. Brawley, who
Yeah.
if you would have told me that she's a newcomer, I wouldn't really believe you. Because,
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, there was like some points where you could kind of tell like that On Brawley wasn't
Still a
like
little flat.
experienced like
That's
voice
fine.
actor because like I know
yeah,
I'm not too like
It's your tone.
I'm not too like picky about it because I know there's like that one scene where after Ned leaves like there wasn't like a pause in between sentences, but that's just me like my brain just like noticed that, but I wouldn't. It wasn't too big of a deal because like the rest of her delivery was fine.
I mean, yeah, like
Her tone is pretty
it is
good.
a little, yeah, it is a little noticeable that she's a little green when it comes to VAing, but like, yeah, but for a newcomer, she's doing a pretty solid job.
And granted, this episode isn't like too emotionally like crazy, so
Yeah,
I'm not.
One scene. Did you?
Yeah,
I assume you all saw Matt's tweet about how he directed his mom for scenes like this.
Yeah, having her imagine him as like
Yeah,
a
like-
5-year-old breaking
yeah.
something.
Like him saying, "All right, I'm 5 years old and I just broke a lamp. Go read your lines."
Oh man, I think that's where the tone comes into play.
She has that Asian mom energy down.
Well, she is an Asian mom.
She is an
Yes.
Asian mom, but like it is very authentic, and I'll give the show credit for that.
Yeah, she's translated that well into the show. I mean, it was just I'm just really happy that Nat actually went in and did something like this. Like it just adds a whole nother layer to Amphibia sort of being like a personal story for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of like I'm kind of getting away from the May Brawley, not May Brawley, May Boonchoi talk, but like I like that very first scene where Anne is pouring like orange juice and like Polly's just like fascinated by it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like sitting on like a pile of books.
We
I
did
was-
get
Oh yeah.
3 sci-fi references in this episode. We had
Yeah, like Quantum
Pop,
Leap.
we had Star.
What was it? Star something.
It was Stargate was the parody DVD, but I forget what it was. And then one of the guys said, "Oh, this will help me with my Star Trip."
Star Trip.
Audition.
Star Trip. It was Star Trip.
When he wanted to get pink skin. So, some fun.
There's also in Ned's wardrobe. There was a Gravity Falls
Yep.
Easter egg in his shirt.
And he was listening to the original theme song.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, that was just really fun. Yeah, Ned. Yeah, speaking of Ned, like all around, he was a really fun introduction to into the show.
That's
I did
fun.
not. I didn't expect Wayne. Like if Wayne Knight was going to voice anyone, I did not expect it to be Ned. Nor did I expect Ned to be an actual character in the show. But like, he was just a really great. Should I say introduction? I don't know, but I don't want to say it. But like, yeah, he was just a really great character in this episode. I sort of liked how he paralleled Sprig through it. So that was just pretty great too.
Yeah, and especially Wayne Knight's Wayne Knight's voice like lends itself really well to voice acting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like the scene where he just broke down crying.
First introduction to the townies. Like it's weird calling the people of LA townies, but we'll go with that. Yeah, this is Ned is gonna citizens, I guess. Ned is our first citizen on season 3, and we're gonna meet a lot more. And I am very excited on how he and the others will play a role in the future. Because
Bold of you to
if
assume
you
he'll
don't
play a
know,
role in
this-
the future.
yeah, we all know that the show loves their townies/citizens, and like I really do think they're gonna play it at least a little more in the future.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back.
Anyways, King, what do you say?
I don't think he's coming back in any major role.
Yeah,
I know, but like
Yeah,
maybe like a cameo or something,
yeah, but probably not with
just
the
for
voice.
that sweet callback.
like I'm kind of refusing to call Ned like an official townie because he wasn't in the intro. I just want Dr. J. Yeah, the first
I love
townie. That's just me
Yeah, I
being
know.
like that's just me being a little
I mean-
picky.
I mean, he's not like a main townie, but he is still a townie regardless.
It's also just pretty nice how he's connected to the Boon Choice too, right? Like he's known Anne since she was like a baby, basically.
Yeah, like they show her like
Mm.
they show the photos like Anne's a lot younger in those like past photos.
But that sucks. So like, imagine having that history of the Boon Choice, but then like you're not even a main townie. You're not even a main townie in LA. That's too
I
bad,
did like
man.
how Anne was happy to see him. Because, like she hasn't seen any people she knows for months.
Yep, 5 months.
Which, like, I do feel bad for Miss Boonshaw. Like, your daughter's dead / missing, and this dude's just pestering you to open a food truck, and you're like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when you put it like that, what? Yeah. See, that's what makes this.
He said several weeks, and Anne's been gone 5 months. So it wasn't, like, immediate, but, like, my man. Also, don't sink your money into the food truck if the person you're going to get food from isn't willing to give it.
Yeah,
He
that was a
needs some
dumb
life.
move on his part.
Anyway,
Yeah, that was not a good business strategy.
But at the end, May kind of said, "Hey, how about you do deliveries for us?" And that was pretty nice.
Yeah. I liked how it all got resolved in the end, but Wayne Knight was so good in that last scene though, where he was just breaking down, crying. Oh, this is a gross appropriation of your culture.
Which, in
I'll
fairness-
just show my way out.
just disappeared. But yes, which was fair. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I don't want to drag this on too long since we still have Catsitting.
Yep.
And like there was that one weird like guy who ordered noodles. Like he didn't even like the way he just slurped everything up was like so disturbing.
God, yes.
He does it twice. That's what bothered me more.
Yeah, he did do it twice.
Yeah, I don't know what.
He was like a
what that
hippie
was
too.
about.
He was that hippie character.
I don't even know. It's sort of like with because didn't that one vendor guy say people go crazy for this noodles or something? I don't know because right, like they saw what the planters did. They just shoved their faces into the soup.
Yeah.
Those noodles are delicious. They're delicious.
I guess when the planners do something like that, I just find it like funny. But like when I see like a human doing it, it's like, oh man,
Yeah,
like...
it's not the same. It's not the same.
And Sprig's disguise, like his first disguise, not his first disguise, like
With the can feet.
yeah, the can feet.
yeah.
Like no one noticed that.
I noticed that. I didn't think it was that much of a big deal, to be honest.
I mean, I guess maybe that's like just the fashion in
It's just
LA.
height.
I guess it's LA we're talking about. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's very weird. So
I guess that explains why that guy was so accepting of Sprig's. But yeah, you saw Sprig had pink skin. He was like, "Oh, cool! This should totally help with my audition or something, right?" Like what did he say? I also forgot.
this will help with my next audition for Star Trip.
Oh, okay.
He wants to play an alien on Star Trek, and so pink skin makes you look like an alien.
Okay, so we got. Oh, we also got the that plasma TV screen scene
Oh yeah.
where like I know some people made like reference Gravity Falls, but like it's kind of like it's a common trope. Like,
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I just like how like it was so ridiculous. Where like the truck was able to like I don't know how many stories into the air just happen like just everything leading up to that
Yeah.
scene. I just found hilarious.
Yeah. And just like careful, it's like a son to me, and then like he calls it Junior after it gets smashed.
Junior, like that was great. That was great.
Oh, especially like Anne brought up like her experience in Wario Kart. I like how
Super
ramp-
Mario Karts.
Yeah, Super Wario Kart, and I like how like the ramp didn't stop the truck, but the turtle like crawling like
A green shell. It was a green,
the green
shell.
yeah the green shell basically like stopped the food truck. I guess I don't know. I just thought
It
I don't know
didn't
if that was
move. That was so funny to me. It didn't move. It just stood there.
yeah the shell just stood there, and then the truck just like did like a 360 flip.
I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So God, what a crazy, crazy episode this was, and I love it.
And yeah, it's even like the skateboard scene, and then like Sprig using his tongue to make like a hard left.
Oh
I just
yeah,
was thinking like the drifting memes. I don't know.
initial D, just gas, gas, gas.
And like even like that detail of like the truck doing like what's it called when you slide along the rail, like the Gertie or whatever.
I'm Ollie.
Grind, I think, at least in skateboarding.
I don't know that much about grind rail.
Oh.
I don't know.
Ollieing?
I don't know.
I think it's called ollieing or something.
Ollieing. That's what I'm saying. I think it's
I don't
ollieing.
think that's what that is, but all right. Yeah. So
So
Yeah.
I think we got most of this episode down. I think I'm gonna move on to
And we said our final
Adventures
thoughts
in
already. So
pardon.
I said we got our final thoughts in before, so we could just go straight to the
Yeah.
next episode.
Pretty much.
So I think so up next we have Adventures in Catsitting, which was directed by Roxanne Cole and Kyler Spears, written by Todd McClintock, storyboards by Drew Applegate and Eddie West. So the episode starts out with Domino waking up in Anne's bed, just doing cat things, I guess, and then like sliding downstairs into the back and leads to the backyard where all the planners are hanging out. So Anne is like researching like a way, like she's researching like a way back home. She's looking through like science magazines, and then we have Hop Hop and Polly just like lounging while like Sprig is like kicking a ball, and Hop Hop's kind of commenting about how how he's never gone to like relax like this in a long time, and he kind of brings up how like guests like after a couple of days start becoming like irritating, and then Hop Up mentions, oh, like we've been here for 2 days, like after the third day we gotta start pulling our own weight, and then Sprig brings up that they've actually been on Earth for a week, and then this like troubles Hop Up because then he feels like they're freeloaders now, and they make the reference to Cousin Stanley, where we get
Cousin
this
Stanley.
quick cutaway, these cutaway screen caps of like them trying to like handle their own guests who may or may not even be related to them.
They were in
I
so
love
much
that.
pain.
I loved every second of that montage.
Especially the
Every
ending.
second of it.
Especially the ending.
Especially when they toss him out the
Toss him out
awesome.
the window.
They
First
tossed
family
him.
kill of the Planter family.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
yes, I choose to headcanon that as happening like 2 days before Anne showed up.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's why they already had stuff in the basement for someone to sleep on. And that's why she had to start doing chores so quickly.
So then it cuts back to Hop Hop like wanting like that the
Can I just say
planners
something
need
real
to.
Remember that line? Did he ever kill a man? Hop Hop. That's the man. That's the man.
Sprig knew it. Sprig was complicit.
Sprig knew it. He didn't want to say anything.
Okay, family kills don't count. they're just
So whatever.
it was a team effort. But so it cuts back to Hop Hop wanting to like do something like to help the planners out, not planners, help the Boon Choys out with something so they don't feel like freeloaders basically. And then at like that exact moment, Mrs. Boon Choi comes in and then mentions how she needs to take Anne for her dentist appointment since she probably hasn't been brushing in Amphibia, much to like Anne's refusal to like.
Oh, sure, she has a winter jacket just in her backpack, but
But she didn't have a
not
toothbrush.
but not toothbrush or toothpaste.
Well, to be fair, like
Oh,
you can't
she
really-
did have a toothbrush. I think in Best
Yeah.
Franz.
Mhm.
Yeah,
in-
but there's no toothpaste, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like,
Yeah, I mean, you could always. It's not about the paste. It's about the abrasiveness.
sure.
But so like Anne mentions that she needs to take Domino to the vet at the same time, but then Mr. Boonchoi can't do it either because he has to go to the restaurant. So this is like the perfect opportunity for Hop Pop to
So
volunteer himself and the
were
planners.
they just expecting a 13-year-old girl to take the bus through LA on her own to the vet's office?
well, I took a jeep. Well, we took jeep. I took a jeepney when I was 14. So when on my first year of high school. So
Yeah,
I think so.
LA bus. Well, I guess if the plan was originally for her and her mom to. Never mind. Continue. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no worries. So like, the planters pretty much volunteer themselves for the task, and gives them the address. Mr. Boonchoi gives a burner phone. I don't think it's a burner phone. I think it's just a regular phone in case like
It's a-
something happens.
It's a
I
flip
just said
phone.
burner. Paul just said burner.
Oh, Polly said a burner.
Yeah, he jokingly said burner.
So then they all head out. Like Mrs. Boonchoi like throws Anne into the van. Mr. Boonchoi goes on like the moped. So we're left with the planners like with their mission. So first they try to get Domino into the cat carrier, and we don't see it. We just hear the trauma off screen. Other than like Polly like trying to like she tries jumping on Domino when he's in his or when she's in her perfect like spot in the sun, which is a really bad idea, but they learned their lesson. They try to take the bus. They try to learn from the other passengers, but I noticed they didn't tap on. But whatever. They get on the bus, but then they don't realize that I'm guessing this bus was like faster than what they expected, and like Hop Hop uses his tongue to like hold on to grab everyone and hold on, but then he ended up licking everyone at the same time, so they get kicked out. So then we get this like quick montage of them like traveling through the town, not town, through the city. Eventually, after like a lot of walking, they get to the vet. Oh, and on the way, they encountered like a giant heron, which wasn't so giant.
Quote unquote, Aaron.
Yeah, like
Was Aaron, but like not a giant.
it was a giant. It was
Right.
just like regular sized heron.
Mm.
They get to the vet. They're uncomfortable with all the other pets inside. Spring encounters the frog, the human frog. I mean, wait, no, not human. The regular frog.
Regular frog that is
Human
that
frog,
is-
yes.
Yeah, that is normal.
So the doctor does the checkup for Domino. The planners make him uncomfortable by asking a bunch of frog questions that aren't related to human
Yeah.
frog biology. So then eventually, like Hop Up uses like Anne's like I guess he uses like the code word, not code word, just like the distraction of like what was it, man? I sure could use some coffee.
Oh my god, he used it like 3 times. I love it.
And like it
Try
never
to-
works, which I liked.
yeah, that's the thing. It never works. He just made him look like an idiot.
So they head out, but then they don't notice Polly getting out. So then when they're like walking, like when they've already started walking, I don't know how far. Only then do they realize that like Domino's missing. So Sprig and Polly, or Sprig specifically, thinks they should call Mr. Boonchoi. Hop Up doesn't want to feel like Hop Up still doesn't want like to rely on their help. He wants like to like get this accomplished by themselves. So they search around for a little bit, but then eventually Sprig tries. He successfully calls Mr. Boonchoy, and then like Polly like like headbutts Hop into like into the
Oh
cage.
my god.
And then apparently this has happened in the past because Mr. Boonchoy immediately knew that Domino would head off to like the nearest shawarma place. And then like sure enough, Domino's there, like just damn, like ignore all the health safety violations. She's just like scratching like the meat cooker. But Hop eventually like emulates like a smoke alarm so that distracts everyone while they go outside. Polly and Sprig head in to grab Domino. Polly basically just rolls up into her original form, which is just pure sphere, just to distract Domino as like a ball of yarn. So then eventually they grab Domino, and then at the same time Mr. Boonchoy shows up, and then they all just head back home. And Hop is very like Hop-Up's like not happy that they had to like rely on him, that they feel like a bunch of freeloaders. Then immediately like Mr. Boonchoy like stops the moped and just like points out that like they're the ones who looked after Anne for 5 months, and like they don't need to like prove themselves to the planners. And like he even says like they'll never have to like owe the Boonchoys anything ever. And we got like a really nice like sweet moment between Mr. Boonchoy and the planners. And then eventually they all get home. Anne comes back. She's on the anesthetic from the dentist appointment. Got like 5 cavities and a bunch of cricket legs somehow still stuck inside.
8 cavities.
8 cavities. Oh
And
my!
as high as a kite.
Oh my god, loopy like Fruit Loops.
Yeah. So then like the episode pretty much ends with like Anne just being loopy.
I find
The
it
planners-
funny. Sorry.
Yeah, the Boonchoys don't want to deal with loopy Anne, so they leave, and then the episode ends with Anne being high and Domino licking their their part
No.
their
You know,
their
that part.
exit hole right in front of us, and that's
the
Avengers the
X.
Catsitting.
The X hole.
As is cats.
I was gonna say, I find it funny that Anne went to the dentist because she played a tooth she played a tooth.
Oh
in
my
one of the
goodness.
school
that is
plays.
Shattering Anne is gonna lose a tooth.
And I'm the tooth, that's the truth. I find it funny.
Oh my gosh!
Forget
is
losing
Anne
an
Boonchoy-
arm. She's gonna lose her teeth.
Oh my gosh, that's the next angsty idea.
Brilliant. I'll have to update my art.
Get working, fan artists.
God.
Ugh.
So yeah, I thought this was a really nice episode. Like honestly, I think this was the stronger episode of the two, because this was pretty much the first time we've had the Planner family like interact without Anne since probably like not best friends, since Anne or Beast. So it's really
Right.
nice to see like this part of the family just like interact off one another, especially in like a whole new world without Anne's guidance.
New world. Da, da, da,
Fantastic
da, da,
point of view. Alright.
So, so like,
Oh my god.
and they even mentioned that like the planners have only been on Earth for about a week, but like they actually managed to handle themselves pretty well.
Yeah.
Like able to like navigate themselves. Well, even I know it's like
Didn't
it's
get
not
arrested. Didn't, you know.
like didn't start any fights.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, nothing in this episode was like a threat to their lives. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, that's better than the start of Hop Till You Drop with Sprig and the Wood Chipper.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Also, I think 1 week being passed is actually a very passable time period. It's like yeah, it's like it's enough time for them to get settled on Earth, but not too long to the point where like they're just like they're just being lackadaisical and lazy, and they're not being urgent about the plot, you know.
Right.
And also, there's also that reference with the whole research going back to Amphibia thing, which is a nice touch because
Yeah,
we
I
did
like how
get-
they're bringing that up like once an episode.
yeah, and we are getting some plot next week, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, so I liked how they're still like
there's
and
still
still
urgency.
doing research in the background. It's not like
Yes.
it's not like she's just completely forgotten about what's happened there. And I like that
Yeah.
like funny little like when Anne mentions like, oh, what has science like, or what have they accomplished, and it basically like shows like the flyer where like world hunger has been solved and like diarrhea has been cured, which this world seems a lot like maybe this world didn't have like COVID if they were able to solve
True.
those
Yeah.
issues.
Sprig has a
Yeah.
mask on, so who knows?
Yeah,
Well, the mask is just for like covering himself
Yeah,
being
and, like,
frog, not
Still,
really a virus thing.
yeah. And I
And
don't,
then like
I don't know
and then,
how
like-
much because I know in like Japanese and Chinese culture, a lot of people in the city wear masks.
Right, because of
yes, pollen.
Air
not just like
pollution,
yeah,
and
not just air
pollen.
pollution, also like I think SARS that really
yeah, it was a big thing
kind of
in
set up like a
Japan.
habit.
of
And
wearing masks
also
being sick. I'm not sure the extent to which that applies to Thai culture. We'll have to bug one of the Thai people in the server at some point.
in Japan there's like they have a pollen season, and like a lot of people in Japan are like allergic to pollen, so that's why they wear masks too.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know how much of that is applicable to Thai
Relevant to
culture.
dialect. Yeah.
But
we should
like, I
probably
guess what I'm
ask.
saying is, good for them to have a mask lying around.
Mhm.
So I guess like Nick, what were your thoughts on this episode? Like I know you're probably gonna talk about like the ending moment.
Yeah, I know, man. No, it was just I'm gonna try and avoid that just because I don't want to like make us focus too much in the end. I'll go into that later, but it is
Okay, yeah,
really
like,
one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. Like right now, like it's so nice. But just to focus on everything else happening. Yeah, I really did enjoy. Like, I just gotta go on the Stanley montage. I fucking love that. I did not expect us to ever get some kind of flashback like this for the planters. Like, it was just. I don't even know what to say about it, but it was just fucking hilarious. But well, let me just go on to the episode overall. I think, yeah, I agree with you. That I think this overall, this is a better episode compared to Typhon, because I feel like this one really just relies on the dynamic between the planters and. Well, that just never failed us yet. Like they all bounce off of each other really well, and it's just great seeing how they work together and how there's how they really are getting used to being on Earth here, right? Like they're definitely. I think right now it's more like they're accidentally getting into trouble rather than like just rushing into trouble like they were last week, right? And hop till you drop. Like they quite literally would go towards the trouble. But here it's just it just came their way, and they found their own ways to manage it. I mean, something I really liked at the beginning of the episode, right? They noticed the fire, right? Like there's the fire alarm that goes off in the kitchen that brings Mr. Boonchoy back in there. Then they see Domino playing with a ball of yarn. I like the fact that like those two things sort of come back by the end of the episode, really, right? Like that shows
Right.
they're really adapting to this. This shows they're really adapting to Earth, and it's just I really appreciate that sort of like subtle growth right there.
and I wouldn't completely call it growth. I think just I like how the crew like they usually set things up in the beginning of the episode and comes back in the end, but it's not too obvious.
Yeah.
Like Hop Hop does the little beep thing getting onto the bus, which shouldn't have worked. That's
Right.
not how the card scanners work. But
Because he used the same catchphrase. Oh, well, the coffee thing again.
when he was first getting on the bus, he did the thing where he imitated the beep with his croak.
Oh, I didn't
Oh.
even notice. Oh, that explains how he did.
Oh,
I did not. I didn't even
That's
realize
not how
that
the
one.
card swipe thing works. Like the bus driver should have noticed. But like that's a nice setup for later on. I think it's a nice callback to Quirler's Pass when Hop Pop and Polly also have a talent. Not Hop Pop, Sprig and Polly have a talent for impersonation,
Yes.
and now we see
Oh,
Hop Pop
okay,
have
yeah.
a similar talent for imitating electronic noises for some reason.
Well, like, I think the planters have a talent or like
Yeah.
impersonating voices, but I think HP is the only one that can actually do sound effects.
But yeah, I like that. Yeah. Do you mind if I just seg into mine?
Yeah,
like
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I like the setup. I like them sort of going through the city. The scene at the vet was fun. The cute little subplot with the real life frog and Sprig releasing it. Like I said, I liked how Sprig at the beginning felt a little more secure than Hot Pop because he felt like he was part of the family because of what had happened in Feud. That's nice continuity. I thought Sprig and Polly being sort of the voices of reason makes sense. They trust the adults. They trust the Boon Choys. But since they're a little younger, they don't feel the same sense of obligation Hot Pop does. Yeah, I like the episode. Polly finding the possum, that was hilarious. When she finds the possum behind the dumpster, it's like, do you think Anne will tell the difference? That was a lot of fun.
Especially when she drags it off later.
Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
like, hey, the face is frozen and and she's excited the bus is dirty. She's just happy. She's living in this city. She likes it.
But yeah, like going back to Hop Up, like I really love how it was like This is exactly what I wanted from Hop Hop, like early on season 3, like way back at the end of
Like,
season
happy
2.
to avoid the responsibilities, but at the same time looking for something to do.
Yeah, exactly, and like feeling anxious about it as well.
Yeah, like I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like this is really weird for him, right? Like not to be burdened by so many responsibilities.
They're not
And like,
Right.
parting for a
Yeah.
fan, not the
Yeah.
one to worry about.
Oh, but I just said that. Did anyone go like, "What the fuck?" when Hop Hop like said they've only been here for 2 days? Like for a second, that made me.
Yeah,
think
I did.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, Hop Hop, what? Then when Spring corrected him, I was like, oh, thank God. Because that confused me so much. I was like, what? Oh, there's no way, right? Like there's no
For-
way.
Really? It's
He was like, no, Hop Hop. Actually, we've been here for a week. He was like, what? Like this lost his
Hey,
train of
what?
What? Man, I just love the fact that then we segued into the Stanley montage. Like, damn, that was just great. Like, I was just laughing the whole time when they threw him out a fucking window too. Right? Like, imagine what they would have done if she didn't even try to help at least a bit. Like, how long would she have lasted with them? Probably not long, right? Maybe a couple days after Cousin Stanley? No way.
It was, yeah. That's what Cousin Stanley gets.
Yes, Stanley was what happened to Stanley was basically the contingency plan for Anne if she got out of
man.
line.
I will say, Cousin Stanley's design reminds me of Billy Dilly in the worst way possible. Because I hated that model.
What's
Yeah.
Billy Dilly?
I know what you mean. What was
You
it?
know what I
Billy
mean?
Dilly subterranean something?
Yeah, it was some
Yeah.
crappy Disney XD show that lasted like
Yeah, he has the hair.
14
Really?
days.
Yeah, it was like I remember I watched that during this. Yeah, Billy Dilly. Jesus Christ.
Wait,
I know
what's-
what you mean.
Family
I
is
need a
actually
screenshot of
working
this.
for me.
Let me set it in.
I got it.
Oh
The
my
design.
god!
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, I know.
see?
Billy Dilly. Literally.
It's atrocious.
That
Yeah.
Billy.
He has the
That
hair.
Billy Dilly.
He has the hair. Oh
Okay.
my God, he has the hair.
I honestly forgot about that show. Even though I pride myself as like a cartoon historian, I didn't remember the show at all.
This is infamous. This is an infamous show, dude.
God, I remember watching that I remember watching that when it was airing. I don't know because my standards were low back then or something, but I don't know. Yeah, he does. Cousin Stanley does look like him. God, no, but he was painting himself orange. Like he had what was it even called? Planter orange. Like that was so creepy. Who is this guy? He just showed up there. Like he did. Oh man, I'm kind of glad he got thrown out like that. Like this was probably just some random creeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any-
Yeah, the
It's
Stanley
definitely-
scene was just,
It was just gold right there.
It
Like,
was hilarious.
and also
Just gold.
the hair. Actually, before I keep going, my thoughts. Pixels, what were your thoughts on this segment?
It was a great episode. I love the use of environment that the planners use for each problem. The bus, it was fun. I like the fire alarm scene a lot. It was clever because Hop Hop had a quick think on his feet. The cats, I mean, that's how cats are. Let's be honest. To be the most annoying. It's Cousin Stanley. Yeah, Cousin Stanley. That's what Cousin Stanley gets. But that Cousin Stanley scene was hilarious. You could tell the pain they were in by the when they were transported back to the tree and the leaves going away. Like that was hilarious to me.
Yeah, like the cutaway gag itself had its like own like
Cutaway gag.
its own cutaway gag.
I'm like, what?
Wow, we're going full Family Guy now, huh?
But better.
Yeah,
it's
Family Guy, but
Guy,
better.
Yes. Oh
And,
my god.
Like you could tell, like the crew was like channeling so much like resentment over like these kinds of like guest visits.
Oh yeah.
Like, wait, I'm trying to look up the quote in the screenshots.
The woman.
It's like we
from,
just resented him a little more each day.
yeah, I love that. Like, they're their eyes getting bloodshot.
Oh my
That was
god.
great. God.
Yeah. I liked how
And they were holding hands. They were holding hands too, trying to block the door.
strong together. Strong together.
Oh my god, Nick.
Oh my goodness, Lewis! It's Anne Boonchoy from Amphibia.
Oh my god.
This is gonna confuse
These are
listeners who can't see the chat. But anyway, I liked how Domino went to a shawarma shop. Like, you've been raised in a Thai household. How do you wind up in a shawarma cat?
Mm-hmm.
And several of the background, to jump topics completely, several of the background characters we'd seen before. The Bada Bing Bada Boom lady from Hop Q Drop was at the
yeah.
vet looking for mail. The Karen, whose name was actually Emily, she was standing on the street as they were driving through in Thai Feud. One of the guys who was handing the television was on the bus or in the shawarma shop, I forget where.
Oh, and
then-
same thing with the lady with like the blue shirt and the baby.
yeah, she was one of the moms. So yeah, they're reusing characters. Which, all right, LA is a big city, less of a chance of that than in Wartwood. But if it's all in the same neighborhood of LA, I think.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah,
I
I just really
really
like
like
that
it a
touch.
lot.
And yeah, it feels like they're bringing life to this place, and I really enjoyed that. The fact that you can sort of like catch the fact that we've seen some of these characters in early episodes. I mean, I don't know if they're doing that 100% intentionally, but I really do like that.
I think it's just to save the budget.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I know. I also noticed there's like the same male voice. There's like the same male voice for a lot of the characters. So
I'm okay with that.
Is it Kevin Michael Richardson?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what voice actors. I'm just gonna say yes.
But Lemur, what are your thoughts on Adventures in Catsitting?
Honestly, I think behind Turning Point, I think this might be my favorite season 3 episode so far. It's like this episode reminds me of like Anne versus Wild in a way, because it's not I mean, sure, it's not necessarily plot driven, but for what it's trying to do, look, I know what you're thinking though. Like, from what I said, honestly, from what it's trying to do, I think it did everything it sets out to do very well. Again, well, it's very cool to see the planters having their own adventure or whatever, and it's a treat that we're probably never
we're probably never getting another episode like this again. So getting it out of the way now in an episode like this is great. How what else? Yeah, the of course the opening montage that you guys have been talking about for a bit. I really like that a lot. Um, the little bit with Mrs. Boonchoy and Anne going to the dentist. It's fun too. Well, I, it's also weird that Domino is kind of like the title is like dedicated to her, but like it's she's like the least involved character in this entire episode. But I don't know, like the entire journey of the planters, it's just a lot of fun. I really liked it very much. Um, from it's nice to see the planters finally getting used to LA after being stuck in a week. I also like how they're trying to do their best to, take back with the family, which which does lead to the ending. But I think we're gonna discuss that as its own segment for later. But for now, I don't know, like despite not really have despite not really having a lot to say, I just enjoyed this episode a lot because like I said, it did a lot of things right despite aiming despite aiming a few goals. Like yeah, it's not really plot heavy, but from a characterization and writing standpoint, I don't think any episode in season 3 has done that well as Adventures in Cat Sitting.
Okay, thank you, Lemur. And yeah, like yeah, I just liked how this episode was more focused on the planners. I also like that quick the heron scene where like the planners look like are absolutely traumatized by it. And even like the shot we
Oh.
get in the beginning where like they make the heron look intimidating before just like
It's like this. It's like the same one from the Flash from Amphibias, and like the same one from Hop Hop's flashback too.
the same outline with like the teeth, and then it just like
Yeah.
goes back to like a normal sized heron. Although the beak's closed, so we can't like see the teeth anymore. But so I guess
Yeah,
we can talk about the we can talk more about the ending. I think we kind of brought it up a little bit in the beginning and in the
Yeah,
middle of Thai
Like,
Feud. Where
I just gotta go.
ending where Anne's like high on drugs, or like the Mr. Boonchoy moment
The
that
I was talking about
this-
the Anne high on drugs because her talking about Domino being the alpha and the omega
oh,
is
So
I'm
spiritual.
I'm 105% sure that is night lore. Like
I mean, it
Aw.
sounds like it. I was thinking it too. I was thinking it. I feel like everyone in the moment was thinking. Hold on.
Really?
Are
wait
you
wait
guys-
wait
aren't you
Nick,
guys?
I wasn't serious. I wasn't serious.
Oh no, I know,
Like,
I know,
come
I know,
on,
I know. But like,
seriously.
I would like.
Okay.
No, I'm feeling. No, I actually feel like I actually
Let's
feel
be
like
real here.
I thought you guys are. I thought you guys are being. I thought you guys are overthinking this stuff again. Honestly,
I said I was 105% sure, Lieber. Like,
but like it's like
Anne
emphasis,
and Hop
man.
Hop are one and the same. They've been the same person the whole time.
Oh my gosh, that's the twist. Angsty fan art incoming.
Angsty
Night
fan
pop
art.
up.
They'll lose an arm and they'll die. Boom.
like Anne will lose an arm and then just like reveal herself to be Hop Up, like with like two sticks as feet and arm, two two sticks for the limbs, and then like I don't know, two springs for the arms.
It's Hop Pop's long lost sister.
The author of the journals.
The author of the journals. It's Dr. P, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, but
Okay,
aside from
parentheses.
Anne being loopy, yeah, like
Let's
that-
talk about
that's-
Mr. Boonchoy.
That's very funny, but let's talk about the real emotional climax of the episode.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
the
it kind of gives the planners their due with like how, I mean, there's no pretty much just like even Anne in the new normal brought up how the planners looked after her, but it was nice to see like Mr. Boonchoy bring it up as well. Like that kind of like when you look back at new normal and even actually yeah mostly new normal since he wasn't as like as he didn't make as he wasn't as he didn't appear as often as in Hop Till You Drop. So this segment, the previous one, and New Normal, you kind of understand why Mr. Boonchoy has been very he's been a lot
Very-
more like accepting of the planners rather than Mrs. Boonchoy, who's just been a little bit more like at arm's length.
Yeah, and like Mr. Boonchoy is like the only person that actually like tries to accommodate the planters. He gives them food, he gives them drinks too. Like, in the beginning of the episode. Like,
I mean, yeah, like also Mrs. Boonchoy like gave them breakfast in Thai food, but yeah, like
yeah,
Mr.
true,
like
but like
the episode like made like went out of its way to show like Mr. Boonchoy like being very like welcoming to the planners in the beginning of the segment.
yeah,
So I
Okay,
liked
good,
that
I had
that
no-
minor
I hadn't noticed that connection, but you're right.
yeah, like I like that minor detail that they put into this at the start of the episode. Just like it kind of like this wasn't like the main meat of the episode, but it was a nice detail that they put the start and the end just to make that scene at the end a little less out of place. So like when you look back, you can kind of see like where like what direction they were taking.
yeah, and I think that also brings up more differences to Mr. and Mrs. Boonchoy's characters too. Like we brought that like previously, but like yeah, this episode and that scene in particular definitely show a lot about who Mr. Boonchoy is as a character.
Respect
Yeah.
them a lot.
Yeah, because you guys are so right about that. Just literally, just like Thai Feud, Adventures in Catsitting, it sets up Mr. Boonchoy's character and how he views the planters right now. And
Yes.
I really love that
Yeah.
scene at the end there because it's not just like a really strong character moment for Mr. Boonchoy, but it's also it just gives respect to like the 2 seasons of development that we had between the planters and Anne. Like I just really love that scene for that. Like it's
Like you
and
could-
yeah, they. Oh, go ahead.
and no respect to Owen Braley, but like you can just the performance Brian and I forget his last name gives like you can just feel the relief he felt knowing that like his daughter had a roof over her head and was getting food regularly. Like you can feel the relief and thankfulness he has for the planters from that performance.
They even helped her mature more.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what did he say? Like you will never owe us anything ever.
and,
Like
he's
I
very firm on that, and he's still just worried about Anne, and it's great.
Honestly, the only thing that would have probably that was missing personally for me is that Mr. Brawley saying thank you, but I think they're saving that for later. Or
Yes.
they don't need that, or they don't need to say thank you because they're already doing that. I mean, Mr. Boonchoy is already doing that by accommodating the planters in the first place.
then they're crying faces. Like that's basically how I felt hearing him say that. It is just. I think it's just hands down one of my favorite Amphibious scenes ever. Like I just love every single moment of that. Like I love the fact that he's so willing to help these, like to help.
It
the
was a
planters.
sunset.
Like, yeah, and the sunset. It was everything. Just
Always
made this
sunset
scene
scenes.
so great. Yeah, they actually. Yeah, they do that a lot, don't they?
Yes.
But everything. Everything just.
Oh,
Everything they put into the scene just brought it all together for me. Like I just loved every single moment of it.
well,
Having him like genuinely care for them, respect them, like have respect for them for doing all this stuff for Anne. Like I love that.
You have to remember that the planters are just low-life farmers. Like they've been disrespected for like most of their lives and disappointment. So having someone give them gratefulness because of the things that they did, it's kind of vindicating for them in a way as a family.
Man, when you put it like that, that's even more heartwarming. Like it's so nice. Ah,
Also, I just love Mr. Boonchoy showing gratefulness. Like again, that's very rare for cartoon dads or dads in general, I guess.
I mean, yeah, we don't even see dads on screen in like Disney media.
True,
usually we
true,
don't.
true, true.
Man.
I mean, with the exception of like Bill Green,
Yeah,
Yeah.
who's another
That's a
another
Another-
farmer,
another-
farming Chad.
another top tier father
Dad.
character
Yeah.
in animation.
Another nickel for every time a Disney Channel show. has
He didn't go
been
get the milk. He
stuck
makes the milk
way
himself.
farmer grow as a character while also eventually getting along with an Anna Conova's voice character. I'd have
Mhm.
2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
Yep.
But yeah, just that
Great.
final scene is just so good. Like you said, it's validating the planners, and I like Hop Pop was very much the main. This was a planner ensemble episode, but it was very much focused on Hop Pops. He was the one who was concerned about being a freeloader. He was the driving sort of leader of the group,
Yeah.
and like he's also the one who took in Anne. Like Anne was like a cool new friend for Sprig and Polly, but she was like another mouth to feed, another person to worry about for Hop Pop. So after this episode full of him being concerned, the validation of them taking in Anne was especially for him, and just a nice statement of like just how fundamentally good it was that he took her in, which like we all sort of just brush over that because it's the premise of the show. But like
Yeah.
that's a big thing he did, and like
Yeah,
he's
even
praised for it.
yeah, even in King Crazy, he like brings up how he has to like feed and like he has to feed and
And,
look
like,
after Anne.
Friends to kick her out, but he's not going to do it. He just
Yeah, and he was never going to kick her out anyways. Like it just
Right.
he's too good for that. Like
It's too nice.
oh
He's
yeah,
strict, but too nice.
and even after like Mr. Boonchoy says like says his piece, like Hop Up says thank you, and then like Mr. Boonchoy like thanks him back. Like what does he say exactly?
No, thank you, or something.
Oh, so he does say
No.
thank you. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. I think I might just be blocking out stuff. It has been a long day.
yeah, like Mr. Boonchoy still like one upped Hop Pop's thanks.
Yep. Again,
Aw.
that's good.
Man.
I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, like this episode. I think this episode reaffirms like the dynamic that with the Planter family. Like for the past episodes, like Anne is the one looking out for the Planters, but now Anne is gone. Like it's nice to see Hop Up taking the reins once again, reestablishing that old family dynamic that we used to know like in the past 2 seasons.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah,
Oh,
so
like-
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
nice
Hop
to-
Pop's like taking a lead.
Yep.
Again. It's like I think even we haven't really seen Hop Pop take a because throughout season 1, like Hop Pop's the caretaker. Season 2, Hop Pop was the one who helped who pretty much organized the trip to Newtopia. So in season 2B, pretty much all of that, like since it's the temple quest, that was beyond Hop Pop's like
Patrol.
expertise. So he pretty much
Yeah.
had to take a back seat in terms of being like the go-to figure for like guidance or like direction.
Oh yeah, true.
So this is probably like the first like time where it's like back to him.
It has
and
been
I
a
guess-
while. Yeah, it's been a while. It's I think the last time that we've seen him in control is like from Night Drivers to after the rain, and then most of that is like it's either Marcy is in the helm. Yeah, it's pretty much Marcy is like in the helm of that because it is the temple
Right, for the
quest, so
temple
it would-
quest.
Yeah, and like again, true colors happen, and like everything is under his control. So like, yeah, this is the first time we've seen Hop Up being in control once again, which is nice.
Yeah, and he barely got a dude. Barely got a
Yeah.
manager, right? Like it was Sprig
Yeah.
and Polly just like went against them almost. Well, not immediately, but they eventually did. But
Mhm.
no, I really did like that though. You know, like Sprig and Polly, like they're finding it easier to like rely and like on Ant's family. So I think that is showing that they are getting closer. And
Yeah,
like
okay.
yeah, like these these two episodes, like they did a great job at having the Boonchoys and the Planters get closer to one another, but also just showing the differences between Mrs. Boonchoy and Mr. Boonchoy, right? Like specifically on just how they feel about the Planters. Like I feel like a lot of Mrs. Boonchoy's actions, they're fueled by her doing this for Anne, right? Like I think, yeah, like they are very like fueled by her doing this for Anne. While Mr. Boonchoy, like he just can't help but feel thankful for their presence, right? Like he's just extremely grateful for everything they managed to do for Anne. So I think like that's really what, yeah. While they have gotten closer, I still feel like that's really what we're left with right now. So I'm very excited to see what's going on next.
There's also this might be speculation, but there's might be also that part of like Mrs. Boonchoy who still feels guilty that she's like she had her daughter missing for 5 months, not knowing what happened to her, and then all of a sudden she came back, but she came back with a group of frogs who basically stand as her family. These are the frogs that like these frogs basically took her role as a parent, and like that might be something that is like that she can't really let go yet. I don't think I don't think they're gonna address that, but I do think it could be an interesting direction for her character when it comes to her relationship to the Planters, and another route on making the Planters and the Boonchoys be a whole family.
I do
Yeah,
think that.
that's a good point because
Oh,
okay,
go
sorry,
ahead, Nick.
not her, but I do notice that it's specifically like Mrs. Bintroy that's handling like all the responsibilities of Anne, right? Like she's the one who had to take Anne to the vet. She's the one who's tried to make sure that Anne's brushing her teeth properly, combing out her hair. Like
Yeah.
it's sort of what Anne mentioned back in Hopping Ball, right? Because like Mrs. Boontroy, she was definitely the more strict parent, the one always trying to make sure that Anne was acting proper and cordial. So I think like, yeah, I really do think it connects back to what you're saying, Lemur. Like just the idea that she's trying to make up for like, because I feel like in a way this is sort of how Mrs. Boontroy shows her love, right? Like being a like being a mom who makes sure her daughter is all right all the time, right? Like making sure her daughter's just doing fine and keeping up with what she needs to, like a dental hygiene. So I think yeah, it really is her trying to make up for lost time in a way. So yeah, that's why I feel like what you said makes sense.
I do feel like
Sorry.
I feel like with the way that we got Mr. Boonchoy's like scene here with the planners, like that kind of like emotion that we got here, I feel like whatever they're setting up for, I feel like they're setting something up with between Anne and May Boonchoy that might happen in Ant's Terminator, where
Temple
like
Frog, which does
or
have
Temple Frogs, but like
Right.
I feel like
for them.
Ant's Terminator is like shaping up to be possibly the episode where like the truth
Yeah.
comes out, and I
Mhm.
feel like maybe the show might want to keep the focus more between like Anne and her mom. I
Yeah,
guess because keeping it between those two might make the scene more like emotional, rather than like having the mom having Mrs. Boonchoy and then Mr. Boonchoy just being like some kind of like side on, but which isn't ideal, but like I think it would make sense just to have Anne focus on the relationship with the mom later on in the future,
Yeah,
since
I'm
like
feeling,
that was like a big point of like contention in season 2.
I think
yeah,
that also.
I'm feeling that too. Well, so sorry, I'll let you go. Yeah, let's go.
I was gonna say like I think it also makes sense. I think it now also makes sense why Mr. Bunchoy isn't really mentioned a lot by Anne, because he like her relationship with her dad is actually kind of like casual and more chill. Like again, I think we already know that Mr. Bunchoy isn't as strict as her mom, but seeing Mr. Bunchoy be more grateful and more receptive and more willing to show gratitude and like emotion than her mom, I think it makes sense. I think it also makes. I thought. I, I'm tripping. What I'm trying to say is like it now makes more sense why Anne isn't as doesn't really talk that much about Mr. Boucher's about her mom, because she really doesn't have a lot of problems with her dad, because for the most part they're pretty chill. Like you saw that even that like in the beginning of Feud, like Mr. Bunchoy, Mr. Bunchoy and Anne were playful with one another. They don't really
Right.
he didn't ask her to do anything. They just play along, and I think that's great. That's positive. That's a positive relationship between a daughter and a father. That's great.
You can also make
Yeah,
that
it could
connection
be.
to, I was gonna say, Hopping Mall with Anne buying that, getting that butterfly thing for her mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's gotta come back. Like,
she
It has
better
to
not
come
forget
back.
that. She better not forget that.
Yeah,
Probably.
I'm betting on the fact that it still connects to the fact that Anne's not quite ready to settle down with them, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is me
Yeah,
forcing the idea, but
true.
like it's just the
Time.
fact that this is still sort of a pit stop for Anne. I feel like that's what we shouldn't forget. Like, yeah, these are her parents, but she's not quite yet ready to mingle or really because it's not over. Like this, she still has
Yeah,
unfinished business she
I,
needs to handle back in Amphibia. Like right now,
I,
she's just
go back.
it's just right now it's just Anne. I'm not gonna say playing along, but like she is here. She's happy to see her parents, but like they aren't her main priority. I feel like they aren't her top priority right now because she has a ton of stuff she needs to take care of before she can really just say she's ready to be here at home. So I feel like maybe at some maybe when they're all on the same page, maybe that's when we'll see the butterfly because I feel like that's what it will at least symbolize. That was her original intention with the butterfly, right? Like
yes.
when they finally when they finally find a way back home, she'll give the butterfly to them. But like here, she was abruptly sent back home. Like she had like no intention to get home back in true colors. So I feel like that's sort of what's going on here. But
Well, I mean, she had an intention to go home, but
just
like
wasn't emotionally ready yet.
yeah, she wasn't ready.
Yes.
Like she wasn't like
it's
ready
did
for that moment.
transpire that made it difficult for her to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like and like and what and it has been mentioned multiple times. Like there are multiple times where Anne being gone for 5 months has been mentioned, and like Mrs. Bunchoy wants to think that it's all over. Like everything is fine and she's home, so the adventure is over. But it's not. And that's gonna be a conflict that would definitely pop up eventually once we get into the nitty-gritty of the season.
Yeah,
Again,
we're getting there. I feel like we're definitely getting there next week.
We're closing.
probably Exterminator or Temple Frogs with the whole
I think
dragonfly.
we're surely getting to thinking Temple Frogs. Maybe not the reveal,
And maybe not the reveal, but like
the
the precipice. Like it's the precursor to what's
precipice, maybe some sort of breakdown from the parents about how long she's been gone.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we pretty much covered everything. Did we?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we went over everything.
Yep.
So I think we can talk about the cartoon universe panel that happened last week. Happened the day after recording.
Yeah. Like, can you just go over the summary? Because honestly,
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I'm pulling it up. So basically, what happened was that the main takeaway was things will get cosmic with Sasha according to Anna,
Wait, Sasha
which Matt like
specifically?
Yep.
apparently for Sasha specifically, but then like Matt kind of shut things down before we can learn more.
Darn it, Matt.
We're
Okay,
going to
that's
see.
actually something I didn't know. Okay, we'll go on.
So Andrews's history will be like touched upon like a little bit. We don't know to what extent, but Matt did mention that like later on that he wanted to see that if he had more time, he would have wished to see more of Andrews's world, which was basically like like just the golden age of Amphibia.
Okay.
So that kind of indicates that we're going to see like at least like we're going to get like a taste of it.
22-minute
Yeah,
flashback episode,
hopefully.
please. 20.
Please.
Give me a half-hour flashback episode, please, Matt. Please.
Froggy Little
Yeah,
Christmas.
the city wish we saw more. So.
And like Andrews kind of needs that kind of like episode because like he was introduced like nearly halfway into the show's life, and then we kind of didn't see him too much in season 2 until like the end. So like we kind of like it'd be nice to get the show has been definitely like teasing that whatever happened between Andrews and his friends, it wasn't some sort of like upfront disagreement. It was something that like Andrews like felt very betrayed by, and that kind of like still stuck with him for like literally a millennium or millennia.
Literally, his entire character right now is literally fueled by him being salty because of a breakup. Like, I love that. I just love how simple his character is, and I think that's just like why Andrews is just definitely is one of my favorite Amphibia characters. Maybe top 5, top 3, somewhere around there. No, but sorry, keep going. I interrupted you.
No worries. And Matt mentioned that there's a lot of season 1 elements that return in season 3 in a gratifying way, especially when it comes to 3B.
Love to hear.
There's some fun stuff coming back.
Family Shrub Bunker
Family
is
Shrub,
coming back,
yes,
baby.
please,
Let's go.
let's go. Bring that back.
Yeah. Grime and Sasha are going to be heavily featured in 3B.
Does it? I don't care about it that much, honestly.
Grime will be paired with a character in a later episode, which is very funny. And more Yunnan.
Okay. Alright.
So I think that's a pretty good. It's just
lots of nice
interesting if
things,
Grime and Sasha are going to be heavily featured. Like
Actually,
that does
I was just-
set.
Yeah, that.
I was just joking about the whole Grime. I don't care about Grime.
Oh
and
yeah,
Sasha. I'm actually
no,
very
we
excited
know.
about it.
we know. But yeah, I think it just it does sort of give you the idea. I mean, maybe we're getting. I still think we're probably going to get back to Amphibian season 3B, but I think it might happen like sooner than we think because they're saying like heavily featured, right? Like that. That's telling me like probably almost every single episode.
Yeah, I don't. I think Sasha may wind up a bit like Marcy did in 2B. Like, remember, Marcy showed up halfway through season 2A, but she was in like 3 episodes total. Like, for most of the Newtopia arc, she wasn't interacting with Anne.
Yeah.
It was only in 2B that she really entered the main cast.
Right.
I think we may see a similar dynamic with Sasha.
Yeah, because I think, that's unfortunately, that is the best way to get more screen time. You have to be near Anne. So I think, I'm thinking like, I'm not sure.
I do.
Wait, can we talk about the? Oh wait, wasn't there a promo that released this week? I swear I had like footage of like fight in the museum.
That
yeah,
was a
yeah,
promo.
right.
Yeah, we didn't have time to talk about it in last week's recording, or did we talk about
No,
it?
I think it came
No, I don't
after.
think
I think
so.
it might have came after.
Yeah.
I think it might have came
Yeah.
like. Let me see if I have the video, but I could have sworn there was. There was
Yeah, we
footage
got
of
a
the fight
lot
in
of-
the museum. Yeah, there was a pot that Polly was carrying, and it looks like the music box being passed down to ancient Egyptians or something. Like, I think it was something like that.
There
Wait,
was
what?
something
Okay,
like that.
wait.
Let me go grab it. Let me go grab it.
The museum.
Remember Remember the bucket?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bucket. It's always Polly with the big
Polly's
lord.
gold.
Polly's always at it with the big lord.
Polly with the golden bucket. Oh my
Polly's
god,
known
it
what's
is coming
happening
back.
since the beginning, just hasn't told anyone.
Man.
Actually denied, and I'm here to destroy Earth.
She's just like, well, yeah, duh, I knew you had superpowers. You just never asked me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, and I know about the
Polly-
music box.
Polly's gonna look at the knight and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember you."
Hey, bro, what's up? How's it been?
Hey, hey, Andrews. I knew about your biggest, darkest secret, and no one told me. No one asked me about it. That's funny. Going back to the topic.
Yeah, so-
should we talk? What bullet point should we talk about first?
I'll be honest, I don't like all of this is very nice. Like we talked about Sasha, and the little promo stuff is nice, but none of it is truly revealing. If that makes sense, like none of this stood out the way the season 3 trailer did for me.
Wait, are we talking about that promo?
Not just in general that I
Like all the information we got?
Let's discuss it, but I don't think there's
A lot to
a whole lot.
discuss. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess mostly what we can say is like maybe it's just speculation, but yeah, I know.
Speculation like I did about Sasha.
Yeah, it's just general stuff. Not general you then. Yeah, but general stuff. Not really much. Not really giving way for speculation. But I am interested about the cosmic stuff with Sasha. I thought it's gonna be like season 3 in general, but Sasha in particular is
superpower.
Sasha in particular.
Calamity
being-
Sasha.
I was to say things getting cosmic with Sasha specifically is something that I didn't know. I think I overlooked that when I'm rating this.
Yeah, I had
would
to
be
edit the quote.
I thought it. I legit thought like. I swear it said before like things will get cosmic in season 3. Oh no, brainer,
Yeah.
but
I had to correct that because when Anna and Kana was talking, she went like, yeah, Sasha's gonna have a lot of fights. She does a lot of yelling. Oh, and things will get cosmic, but I'm gonna leave it at that. She went specifically for Sasha, so I'm thinking like, yeah, that sort of confirms we're getting super forms. Thank God. I'm glad,
Sasha's gonna have 4 arms, boys. Let's go.
I'm glad all the deniers ended up being wrong. Like, months of people telling me that she's gonna get a super form. Like, nah,
I mean, like if you're denying that Sasha and Marcy aren't getting their like superpowers, like that would be that's just dumb. You're just stupid if you think you're not getting any powers.
There are dumber theories out there.
I mean, true, like Sasha losing an eye, but still.
And don't forget our very own. No, there aren't any superpowers. The eye glows are metaphors. Last season.
Yeah, true.
No
Okay,
disrespect,
Nick,
I love you,
I'm
Joel.
looking at I'm looking at that screenshot you sent. It kind of looks like the pink frog.
yeah, the
in the
music
box.
box. Yeah, like that's what I was thinking. Like she brought over ancient Egyptians. Like it, so I'm thinking like I didn't think what specifically Fight in the Museum could give us, but like it's really giving us the idea that maybe the music box is greatly tied to human history in some way.
I can't tell.
It's just sort of shaped like it. Like it can't be as
shaped like a frog, and then like the head just makes me think like pink.
And actually, I don't think those are Egyptians.
Yeah, it looks like Vikings.
Which actually.
Actually, okay.
And that might make more sense with the timeline.
1,000 years ago, that's 1020. That's Viking Age.
Okay, yeah, you're right about that.
Still Viking Age in Europe.
Interesting.
No, I don't. I say this not really knowing my Viking archaeology. That doesn't super look like Viking art, but we'll see. We'll see next week. I had noticed that before. No one. I hadn't seen anyone bring this up, but yeah, this could be lots of interesting things. Ugh.
This gonna be this might just be our sleepover for season 3, huh?
Maybe, and it might. I say this every week so far. I've said, all right, next week they might introduce the FBI agents, and
This might be it.
this
Like,
might be
maybe,
it. Robbing a museum.
maybe, yeah, might be in the end, like as a stinger.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we're in for a lore episode and some sort of deep emotional episode with Temple Frogs this week. So like,
Also,
Yeah, actually, Uzbeks, you brought a good point, because if Fight at the Museum is like the lore heavy episode, that would probably feel more like that would probably like make more sense if it was like the second segment and ending the episode off on that. But then if they decide not to do that, then maybe Temple Frogs has something like that offers us a little bit more in terms of maybe like the overall story of the show or like emotional impact.
I'm thinking of like an Andreas cameo in some form.
like
It's
not
like-
the lore plot, but like the plot with like Andreas is inviting. Maybe someone should do something with that.
I'm also thinking about like I'm also thinking about Fighting Museum. Like, if that jar is related to Amphibia history with the blocks and all, then Dr. Jan just becomes even more interesting, because that means that she knows about the history of the blocks
Or
the
she could
gems
just be
in
a
the first
random
place.
docent at the museum they're robbing.
Yeah, but like she's a curator though. Like she should know about the history of this like old artifacts and stuff.
I mean, she should know about the history, but she might not understand the full significance of it.
Yeah,
like,
until those little
Until like Talking Frog show up and she's like,
yeah,
hey, Sprig, you look awfully like this person on this jar. You want to explain that, kid?
yeah.
It
It wasn't until like this young teenage girl and her 3 frog friends decided to go to the museum and check out stuff. That's when she realized that there's something going on with the gem.
Don't forget the evil robot.
Yeah, we're getting two back-to-back.
Oh, don't forget that
attacks
too.
in,
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to mention though, it's just kind of interesting how like Andrews originally sent Frobot, right, for him to be conspicuous, right, not to be noticed by any Earthlings, but now, now he's sending dragonflies, which obviously a ton of humans are going to see. It makes you think, like, I think he's getting desperate at this point, because right now it's been about a week, right? I think probably by the museum, let's just say it's been over a week at this point, so it just makes you think like, yeah, he expected this to be completed day one, not for it to take so long. So I'm thinking it's making him desperate.
And then the robot hasn't come back in Utopia yet, so he knows there's something wrong going on in Earth.
Maybe
plus
he
it's
just
simply a
thinks
Coven book.
forever to get the book.
Yeah, but like then
like maybe Andrew just assumes that Frobot got like wrecked, and then he sends in the dragonflies, and like maybe in like an exterminator, like it's like Frobot's like Frobot trying to prove himself.
To his podcast, to his dad. He's like, I haven't filled you yet, taller.
In for a beating because he still has to get.
Yeah, he's getting thrashed again.
And also there's
We're
gonna
gonna see if Anne brings up her powers.
and the humans are gonna get a lot more involved starting a fight in the museum. Dr. Jan, might be the FBI agents. Dude, the mechanics are gonna come back gonna come in the episode after this. Yeah, and like, you know, the dozens of citizens that are going to see the dragonflies. So the citizens of LA are gonna get more involved at the main story of this, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, minor detail. So we've already seen like in the trailer footage with Anne's wearing her normal attire. She gets freaked out by Dr. Jan behind her. Then in this Fight at the Museum clip, we have Anne wearing like a dark shirt that was like similar to one of the old concept art. So like unless Anne packed like these clothes in her bag, then maybe like they go to the museum just to scout out the place, and then like return back later at night to actually do the heist.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would
that's what
actually,
I'm trying
that
to
makes sense,
say
especially
too.
since there wasn't any direct setup in this episode. Like I was thinking maybe in Catsitting they'd like pass the museum and say, "Ooh, maybe one of the displays or something." Like they'd get suspicions and move on. But since we didn't get that, they need to be fairly efficient next episode, establishing why they want to break into the museum and then actually getting to the plot.
Thinking like maybe one of their parents just brings them there, and like they just. I'm just gonna guess they spot the. I'm just gonna guess they see the pod. They're like, oh wait a minute, doesn't it look like the music box or something? Like I'm just expecting it to go down like that.
Yeah, like the planters and the butchers go to the museum to like visit and like for the planters to learn more about human history. And then while they're touring, they discover the pot which has the gems in the music box. They got curious and they thought about, they decided to talk about um stealing the jar so they can learn more about it. But then Dr. Jan somehow got involved in that. Like they asked, but
I
like
think
Anne got nervous about it, thinking about it, and then Dr. Jan Dr. Jan somehow talked to Anne about it, and Anne tried to be more like inconspicuous about it, so like they wouldn't alert her. And like later in the episode, they decided to go to the heist at night, which brought back Frobot.
Frobot tracks them, and then Dr. Jan gets involved again because there's like this giant robot trying to like
Yeah.
wreck all the
The artifacts.
exhibits.
Yes, which I think curators do work at night too.
It's like
Yeah.
maybe we won't get much box lore other than whatever's in the background. It'll be mostly focused on Frobot with like background lore, and then maybe Temple Frogs will give us more of
Or
like the
this could
Andrews
just, we
planning.
still got some time. This could just be something like, I don't know, the end of Anne or Wild, or the end of, I think it was Lost in Utopia with the basement thing, where like it points them in the right direction, but we're not quite there yet. And then it's another couple episodes, and then we get more of the lore.
Yeah.
Or it could take the sleepover route where like all the lore is in the
in the
in the
background.
background.
And
Yeah.
we
But it's mostly focused.
we spent
It's mostly
like,
focused on the
another 6
Frobo
hours.
fight.
Yeah, and we spent 6 hours trying to analyze the backgrounds and how they mean or something. That's gonna be fun.
So I think we can wrap up for tonight. I guess starting with Lemur, any final thoughts? Anything you want to address?
I think going back to the episodes overall, I think this pair of episodes are pretty good. Like Feud is solid. It had good characterization when it comes to Sprig and like development for Maid Buchoy, and Cats and Adventures of Cat Sitting is my second favorite episode of season 3 so far. It is very, very good. It tried to do some things, but they achieved it in such a way that it just made me impressed. Overall, a good pair. I like them. I like both of these episodes a lot.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Uzbeks, any final thoughts?
2 very solid episodes. I think one of the best in all of Amphibia in terms of just how well the 2 segments of a single episode synergized with each other. But yes, 2 very good episodes.
All right, thank you, Uzbeks. Nick, any final thoughts?
Like just another great pairing of Amphibia, which just makes me more excited to see what's coming up next. If they're really building up to something great here, then I'm just really excited to see pop out like that. So overall, Amphibia season 3 is just going great. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and I really hope everyone's enjoying season 3 as much as we do, because it has been great, and like they are building something special, and yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the journey as much as we do.
Yeah, like overall, I enjoyed this batch of episodes. Nice seeing the planners get some time on their own without Anne. And then as well as Feud, I just liked the Sprig trying to figure out this family his place in this family dynamic, and then hopefully he got what he wanted by the end. So yeah, overall I think it was a nice batch. And then next week we'll be covering Fight at the Museum and Temple Frogs. So with that, I think we can call it a night or morning. Thank you guys for coming on.
Afternoon.
And we'll see you guys next week. Say goodbye.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Peace.
See ya.